charcoal sky is weeping ink as the iron ships begin to sink. I'm a desert soul on a tidewater shore, caught in the teeth of a hungry war. Your weathered hands and your faded cloth are the only light for this broken moth.
Brimstone burning on the edge of the world, where the banners of the broken are unfurled. We hold our peace in the valley of flame, finding a heart where there used to be names. Let the horizon choke on the smoke in the sea. You are the only solid ground for me.
I've watched the fire consume the spire, and the bells all melt in the funeral pyre. You bring the salt of the soldier's sweat, a language that I haven't mastered yet. Under the palms in this silent gloom, we're two white ghosting in a concrete tomb.
Brimstone burning on the edge of the world, where the banners of the broken are unfurled. We hold our peace in the valley of flame, finding a heart where there used to be names. Let the horizon choke on the smoke in the sea. You are the only solid ground for me.
Iron resolve is a heavy weight
To carry past the garden gate.
The tide is rising, the sand is thin. Don't let the morning light come in.
Brimstone burning on the edge of the world, where the banners of the broken are unfurled. We hold our peace in the valley of flame, finding a heart where there used to be names. Let the horizon choke on the smoke in the sea. You are the only solid ground for me.
Only solid ground, fading cloth in the charcoal sky, just you and I.
Pull the rope when the wave hits.
I have it, Marcus. It is so heavy.
The Island of Faith and Survival. The film begins by showing a man drifting alone in the middle of a vast ocean. He survives on a small life raft surrounded by an endless stretch of deep blue water. The man is named Marcus, a Marine from the British Royal Navy. The submarine where he served had been attacked by enemy forces during the Atlantic War, and he was the only one who managed to survive. For 7 full days, he struggled to stay alive at sea with no food or strength left. Relying solely on rainwater he managed to collect to keep himself alive. Exhaustion and loneliness nearly pushed him to despair until one morning he saw the faint outline of land on the horizon. With the last of his strength, he paddled the raft toward it and eventually reached a remote island in the middle of the North Atlantic. Though his body was weak, he felt slightly relieved to finally stand on solid ground. While exploring the island, Marcus discovered a small village that seemed deserted and abandoned. The houses were empty with no signs of life. He kept walking until he reached an old church standing among the trees. At that moment, he was startled by the presence of a woman calmly sweeping the church floor as if the place was still used for worship. The woman was dressed entirely in white and appeared gentle and graceful. Marcus froze for a moment, surprised to find someone living on such a remote island, especially a young woman. The woman herself was shocked to see him, but once she learned that he was a British Marine, she became more at ease. In a soft voice, she introduced herself as Sister Clara, a nun who had also been stranded on the island. Clara then told her story. She had been part of a religious mission in the Azores Islands, but when German forces began attacking and hunting missionaries, many were captured and killed. She survived only because she managed to escape to this island. At first, she was not entirely alone. A priest named Father Thomas was with her, but he died only 4 days after they arrived. Since then, Clara had lived in solitude, relying on prayer and her belief that someday British forces would come to rescue her. Even though she knew the chance was small because the North Atlantic was controlled by the Germans at the time, she chose to keep believing. After hearing her story, Marcus felt sympathy for her and vowed to help. "I'll go for this. Good night, Mr. Marcus." He planned to build a raft using the rubber float that had saved him at sea so they could leave the island together. Fortunately, the island still had plenty of plants and fruits they could eat. Days passed and the two grew closer. Clara, with her gentle nature and unwavering faith, slowly taught Marcus, who was stern and not particularly religious, about the meaning of hope. One day Marcus asked why a young woman like Clara chose to become a nun. With a calm smile she answered that she did it out of pure love for God. Sometime later, while they were walking along the beach, Clara saw a turtle swimming near the shore. Marcus took the opportunity to teach her how to survive in the wild. Using simple tools, they tried to capture the turtle. And after a tiring struggle, Marcus managed to bring it ashore. They cooked the turtle's meat and ate it together. For Marcus, it was a small victory in their fight for survival. While for Clara, it was a lesson about the harshness of life in the wilderness. Several peaceful days went by until one afternoon they heard the sound of an airplane overhead. When they looked up, they were shocked to see a German aircraft circling the island. Marcus immediately grabbed Clara's hand and rushed to hide her inside a cave among large rocks. That night, they could not sleep, worrying that the plane might have spotted signs of life on the island. "Like me, nothing to be ashamed of. It's all over, man." Their fears were confirmed the next morning when a sudden explosion shook the ground. A German plane dropped bombs and destroyed the entire village. When Marcus stepped out of hiding, he saw that the houses that once stood were now flattened, including the raft they had been building. All their food supplies were burned to ashes. The situation grew even more difficult. Soon after, several German ships arrived and deployed troops on the beach. They set up tents and turned the island into a temporary base. The situation became extremely dangerous. One small mistake could get them captured. Marcus told Clara to remain hidden inside the cave while he went out to find food. "Look, for the sake of my morale, man, let's German soldiers patrolled the forest, but fortunately, they did not find the cave where the two were hiding. The next day, Marcus bravely went to the shoreline to catch fish. As he was heading back, he saw a flashlight beam in the distance, a sign that German soldiers were patrolling nearby. Without hesitation, he dove underwater and hid behind the waves until the patrol boat moved away. Once the area was safe, he returned to the cave with several fish. When Clara saw the raw fish, she hesitated. She could not bring herself to eat it because the fishy smell was too strong. Marcus tried to convince her that it was the only way to survive, but she could only manage a small bite before giving up. Her body began to weaken from hunger, causing Marcus great worry. In desperation, he made a risky decision. He would sneak into the German camp to find food. That night, he coated his body with mud to hide his scent and appearance, then crawled carefully through the trees, moving silently in the darkness as he waited for the right moment to act. As the night grew deeper and many of the German soldiers fell asleep, Marcus finally saw his chance. Moving slowly and cautiously, he crawled toward one of the tents, holding his breath to avoid making even the slightest sound. Once inside, he managed to gather some food. And among the belongings left behind, he found a small comb. Without hesitation, he took it with him, not just as an object, but as a simple gift for Clara, a gesture of care amid the surrounding danger and hardship. The next morning, Marcus planned a surprise. He arranged some flowers on a rock, placed the comb beside them, then hid behind the stones to watch Clara's reaction. When the nun found the flowers and the comb, she looked touched, but gently she explained that she could not use the comb because ever since she took her vows, her hair had been cut very short like other novices. Realizing that the gift would be of no use, Marcus simply told her to throw it away. Even so, Clara smiled softly, showing that she appreciated the sincerity behind the gesture. From that moment, it was clear that Marcus could no longer hide his feelings. He had fallen in love with the woman he once saw only as a symbol of purity and goodness. Courage began to grow within him. One day he gathered the bravery to ask Clara whether she had ever thought about leaving her religious life and living as an ordinary woman, perhaps marrying and having a family. But Clara looked at him with her usual calmness. She explained that the vows she had taken were not just promises but sacred commitments to God. She made it clear that the love in her heart belonged only to God, not to a man like Marcus. Hearing this, Marcus felt his heart break, but deep inside, he still held on to a small hope that someday Clara might change her mind. At that moment, a powerful explosion shook the forest around them. The ground trembled violently, and the sound of gunfire echoed in the distance. Marcus rushed out of the cave and saw the sky filled with smoke and flashes of light from a battle at sea. British warships were engaging the German fleet in the Atlantic waters. When the sound of explosions began to fade, Marcus approached the area where the German troops had previously set up camp. He was surprised to find that they had left the island in a hurry. He immediately called for Clara and together they inspected the site. There they discovered plenty of food supplies and equipment that had been abandoned. For Marcus, this was a rare opportunity to gather the necessities they desperately needed. With excitement, they brought the supplies to the former German quarters. And for the first time in a long while, they felt a sense of relief. That night, the two of them sang and danced joyfully, as if trying to forget all the suffering they had endured. As the sun began to set, Marcus hummed softly while Clara peacefully continued sewing nearby. The atmosphere felt warm and calming until Marcus could no longer hold back his feelings. He looked at Clara and gently asked what she would do if one day they were rescued and returned to the United Kingdom. With her usual sincerity, Clara answered that she would return to her convent, finish her studies, and continue her service to God. Her response once again broke Marcus's heart. He lowered his head for a moment, then honestly expressed his desire to marry her, build a life together, and have children. "I never even lived before, not really." Clara fell silent, then looked at him with tears in her eyes. She admitted that she was touched by Marcus's sincerity, but she could not offer false hope. With a calm voice, she explained that her love had been fully dedicated to God. While showing the ring on her finger, she said that it symbolized her vow of faithfulness to the Creator and that once she completed her novitiate, the ring would be replaced with a gold one as a lifelong commitment. Marcus remained quiet, trying to hold back his sadness, then pretended to check the beach so he could hide his feelings. "Fix that lane for you." Meanwhile, Clara sat in deep thought, her eyes gazing blankly toward the sea. She too carried emotions she could not admit. Deep inside, she admired Marcus's courage and kindness, but she knew that allowing those feelings to grow would mean betraying her calling. The core one of them's got to get the short end. Certainly, Mr. Knight grew deeper. Silence filled the old house once occupied by German soldiers. While they were preparing food, Clara found a bottle of liquor among the supplies. When she opened it, the distinct aroma spread immediately. Marcus explained that it was schnapps, a traditional German drink similar to wine. He invited her to try it, but Clara refused after learning that it contained alcohol. "Anyone?" In confusion and emotional pressure caused by his unspoken feelings, Marcus drank the schnapps by himself. Clara tried to stop him, but it was too late. Moments later, the alcohol began affecting his mind. He spoke uncontrollably, uttering words that hurt and frightened Clara this very minute. Feeling upset and wounded, Clara ran out of the house into the heavy rain and darkness. Realizing his mistake, Marcus immediately chased after her. He found her collapsed on the ground, weak and shivering from the cold. Panicking, he carried her back to the cave and lit a small fire to warm her. With no other choice, he took off his own clothes and covered her body to keep her from freezing. The next morning, the situation became even more difficult. German troops returned to the island while Clara was still sick with fever. With strong determination, Marcus snuck into the enemy camp at night to look for blankets and food. But this time he was almost caught. A German soldier spotted him. Yet Marcus managed to overpower him and hide the body among the rocks. He then returned to the cave carrying the supplies. When Clara regained consciousness, she was surprised to find herself lying only on a blanket. Marcus quickly explained what had happened and apologized sincerely. "I don't deserve no thanks. My fault you got sick." But the danger was far from over. Realizing one of their soldiers had gone missing, the German troops began a massive search. They burned parts of the forest and inspected every corner of the island. Meanwhile, in the cave, Clara could only pray fervently, asking that they would not be found. A miracle happened, allowing them to remain hidden. Not long after, the sky was filled with the roaring sound of British fighter planes bombarding German positions. "Look at him. Would anyone else?" Seeing this, Marcus shouted with joy, knowing the war was nearing its end, and their safety was closer than ever. With the enemy now retreating, the two of them were finally able to breathe in relief. But before the moment of their separation arrived, Marcus once again expressed his feelings for the last time. He begged Clara to marry him and start a new life together once the war ended. With tears streaming down her cheeks, Clara looked at him and said that she cared for him deeply, but her love was not meant to be possessed. She had given her entire heart to God and she would not break her sacred vow. Hearing this, Marcus accepted her answer calmly. In a mixture of heartbreak and bravery, he decided to return to the fight. He launched an attack on the remaining German artillery still stationed on the island. Despite injuring his shoulder from an explosion, he managed to destroy the weapon, ensuring no more casualties would occur on the British side. Shortly afterward, British forces landed on the island and rescued them both. When the war finally ended, Clara was sent back to the Azores and then returned to her home country to continue her religious life. Meanwhile, Marcus returned to duty until the end of the Atlantic War. The moral message of this story is that true love does not always have to end in togetherness. Sometimes the purest form of love is seen in one's ability to let go and honor the choices of the person they love. The story of Marcus and Sister Clara teaches that sincerity, sacrifice, and faith can flourish even in the darkest moments. Amid a war filled with suffering, they discovered the true meaning of devotion and compassion. From the two of them, we learn that true love is not merely about possession. It is about giving without conditions, protecting without demanding, and accepting wholeheartedly that some love is destined only to be cherished, not owned. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy. Hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice just to be sure. Please be sure to share this video, and subscribe to our channel for more content. You should watch the full movie. Thank you very much for watching.